to join us for this online session. All right, as well as then for our P1s, 3s, and 5s, because they are transiting to a new environment as well. It is a face-to-face session for them next week, next Friday, at the same time as well. So we have already come on board this hybrid model in terms of meeting the P1s, 3s, and 5s parents face-to-face, because the form teachers also find that a very, very useful moment for them to get in touch with parents. 2, 4s, and 6s, because the class also goes intact. We have this hybrid model. Hopefully that also gives you a convenience where you are able to just do a video conference in with us. So the purpose of these sessions, firstly, I will always open up just to share a little bit of the broader direction from the school, provide some information regarding outcomes, key student outcomes that we have had. And importantly, it is also a chance for me always on a year-to-year basis to connect with parents, to appeal to all parents. Let's work together. What are some areas that we've identified that we can really partner each other for our admirals? Okay, so thank you once again for joining us. Now, so after my session, which is going to be just under half an hour or so, the year heads will be taking you through, I think, some of the level specific programs, activities, and focus. So for example, the P6 focus will naturally be very different from the P4 focus as well as the P2 focus. Okay. Also, a few things for us to then, for me to look at today with everyone. I think my first thing I will just share with everyone broadly, what is our focus for 2026? Some of them are evergreen. What is our school's vision, mission? Right, but I'll also share a little bit about what is the strategic plan for our school. In any organization, there are certain things that we want to focus on a bit more than other things, because we hope that these areas that we focus on are going to help us bring about the best outcomes for our admirals. So similarly for Admiralty Primary School, what is it that we focus on? More so than what other schools focus on, right? There are differences because of our different strengths, different areas in terms of where we are as a school of 29 years. And next year is going to be our 30th anniversary, really. The second part, I'll be talking a little bit about how we are going to go about developing our admirals holistically. So besides sharing on 21cc as well as the use of EdTech, I will also just share a little bit about our data from last year's P6 cohort. How did they perform? Not just in the PSLE as well as the DSA outcomes as well. Okay, so I understand that there are some questions from parents about how did our P6s perform last year vis-a-vis the previous year. And I can show you some of this data. So then the third part, very, very importantly for all of us, I wanted all parents to be with me on this. Let's put this at the back of our minds for today's session, but really actively, how can we work on a few areas? There's this national initiative called Grow Well SG. I will show you some of the information about that. So the second point about growing resilient admirals, I would like to thank, I think, some parents who actually raised questions in your Q&A FAQs when you submitted them to the via PG. You asked questions about how can we work together to grow your child to be resilient. And then the last bit about a we first mentality. How do we work together as one community? In my opening letter for the year to all parents, I had appealed to all of us. Let's work together to grow this we first mentality for our children. So it's not just about your child, actually it's all our children. When we think about it from that perspective, all our children will benefit. Okay, so allow me to just share very quickly what is our ADP focus for 2026, but two evergreens. It has not changed for the past few years since we have identified that these are the vision, the mission, as well as the values of the school. So the first one is about wanting all our admirals to be inspiring and empathetic leaders with a strong global outlook. Okay, I hope parents, when I do present and communicate this vision to everyone year on year, it is not so that, I sometimes sound like a broken record player. I acknowledge that. But I do want to allow us to stop, pause, and think about this. The word leaders there means that actually I'm not just looking for students who are going to score in the PSLE or do well in the CCAs and all. We are talking about all-roundedness in our admirals. We're talking about admirals who are going to take charge and do the right things. Right? I might firmly believe if we are developing leaders in all our children, they know what is the right thing to do. Naturally, outcomes like your academics, non-academic areas are going to come. So let's look at those as being outcomes that are going to come because we are developing leaders. In terms of mission, nurturing compassionate citizens and lifelong learners. Okay, this part on lifelong learners is extremely important for our children to be able to learn for life. I think all of us adults need to be role models for them as well. Right, so that's our vision mission. I have shared this school theme with all parents before on a few different platforms, right? Growing together, because how do we work together as one community? And I identified a few traits for us to work on. So the first one on gratitude, making sure that our children have this attitude of gratitude. It helps us to build the empathy and compassion that we saw in the previous slide. Then the next part about courage, which I would like to just also highlight to all P2, 4, and 6 parents. If you have a child in P5, which we will address the parents next week, is they just finished the P5 camp. And I'm very proud to say that all our admirals, regardless of where they are at this point in time, went through that camp, pushing themselves to and having the courage to try something that they've never tried before. Some of them expressed to their teachers that they have never tried the zip line, right? Like a flying fox type kind of event. But then they actually tried it, and some of them actually decided to try it a second time and a third time. Uh, Not just because they're hooked to it, but the idea that they were challenging themselves, they overcame a certain challenge and a fear that they have for heights, for a certain challenge. And when they overcome these fears, actually it becomes a very, very good learning hurdle that they can overcome. Right? So we want them to have that courage to be able to overcome these fears that they have. So also having that courage to embark on a lifelong journey of learning. So lastly, about excellence, highlighted before as well. Excellence is not about that destination. So if we are too fixated on just what is our PSLE result going to be, for P2s, if we are fixated on saying, oh, next year P3, they're going to take exams and all, we worry, you ask me, my personal take is that I think we may be worrying about wrong things. We ought to be worrying about, do our children have that kind of resilience, the grit, to know how to go through every day, performing to the best of their ability, right? So you dream big, you start small, just keep working at it. And that is the kind of excellence journey that we are actually working for them. And when the time comes for them to perform, because there is a performance task like an exam, I don't think that we need to be worried that they cannot perform. Okay, so let's work with that. Is that habit? Yes, we do have an end in mind, but it's this entire journey that we need to grow in them. So our school values, GRIT, the first one on graciousness, being kind towards others. R stands for responsibility, being responsible for their actions, for their own work. And then having integrity, that's I, owning up to their mistakes. So this is a very core value. And T for teamwork. So we talked about the community, the we first mindset. And then the last thing, grit. Grit for excellence, grit and perseverance for excellence. So parents, I'm sharing these values with you also because these are values that the children may go back home and share with you. If they share these things with you, spend that time asking them a little bit about what do they understand about these values, how have they shown the great values. If they can reflect and tell you, then actually it really tells us that they are really thinking about these things and they're going to put the values in action. Okay. So I wanted to just show parents a little bit about this strategic plan. I know that some of these things you may not be as familiar with it, not to worry about that. This was largely something that I use to engage my teachers in, my staff. But I wanted to also broadly share with all parents because we are partners, right? I see us as equal partners in the education of our children. We have three strategic trusts. So three key areas that we want to work on in a school. So these two I show first because they are the base. They form the base of what we try to do with our school in order to bring out the outcomes in our children. So you'll see under strategic trust 2 is this part on developing my teachers. I'm working with my teachers, developing them. How do they become future ready? The strategic thrust 3 is about us being a sustainable organization. So in terms of some of my other non-teaching colleagues and how do they support the organization, it comes under here. you will see under this bullet point SO 3.2, that is a key area that we look at as well. How do we build strategic partnerships with my stakeholders? So parents, you are a key stakeholder in our eyes, right? So how do we work together? And what is this working towards then? Is this strategic trust one? Of course, a very, very important strat trust about developing future leaders with a global outlook. 4 areas that we look at that we want to work with you on. The first one is about developing that voice, agency, and advocacy in our children, right? The ability to use their voice, their agency, and advocacy responsibly and for the right things, for school improvement, for their own growth and their own improvement. Right. The second thing is about think global, act local. So earlier I talked about the having a global outlook, understanding what is happening around the world, being able to act locally to make a change in our local society. The third one, about developing critical thinkers who are able to solve complex problems. So if I think amongst us, a lot of P6 parents as well, you will naturally be very worried about the PSLE, correct? Can I suggest and encourage that in your conversations with your children, we definitely want them to work very, very hard, for sure, because working hard is also a signal of how much hard work they're going to put in to achieve something. That in itself is a value. But I think what we want to grow in them is their ability to think. It's not their ability to score. There is a very big difference. I firmly believe that if we are able to work together to get our children to think, exams and everything, that is just part and parcel of what we need to do in our education journey. All right. But let's work towards this part. How do we develop them to be critical thinkers, able to solve complex problems that they don't need to be spoon-fed? Right. That's important for all of us. And then the last one is about cultivating our students to be skillful and confident communicators. So very often in class, if our children do not speak up, we may push them a little bit more to encourage them to speak up. We want them to be able to communicate their ideas. So it's not just enough for them to be able to write. They need to be able to express their thinking as well and express it confidently. Okay. Now, in terms of developing our admirals holistically, the best framework, I think something that MOE has been showing to all parents, it has come out in the news very often. Minister has talked about this quite a few times as well. Is this idea of the 21st century competencies that we need to grow in our children. So you may take a look at this website, moe.gov.sg, and actually you just need to Google 21st century competencies MOE. This will pop up. And it is a chance for us to then take a look, what are these skills that we really need to be growing in our children so that they will be successful in future, so that they will be a contributing member of the society. So ultimately, what do we want all our admirals to be? Firstly, I want them to be a confident person so that they're able to approach work, play, life with a lot of confidence. To be a self-directed learner, past a certain age, they cannot be spoon-fed anymore. We expect that, given the resources at hand, they need to know what to do. A concerned citizen as well as an active contributor. How do they actually know what their own place is in society in Singapore, and how do they contribute? So I just wanted to take this opportunity to also then mention, where we talk about these emerging 21st century competencies, something that always comes to mind is definitely this part about tech. How do we use educational technology meaningfully? How is AI changing the way we do teaching and learning and changing the way work and life is all about? Parents, a lot of us who are at the workplace, we know that in the past few years, the use of AI has really transformed the way we work quite tremendously. So for our children, you will see on this right-hand side, right, P1s to P3s, what is our approach like towards the P1s and P3s? A bit more light touch when it comes to the use of AI, actually very little, because we want them to still use the very concrete, hands-on manipulatives. So not so much about the use of AI. 4 to 6s, we will start exposing them a little bit to the use of technology and AI right? Gradually, we want to introduce them to that. So our approach is one that it needs to be meaningful. I don't think that we are looking at the idea of saying that we don't expose them at all. It cannot be the case. If we don't expose them to the use of technology or expose them to understanding what AI is, children are smart. They will know their own ways and means to get hold of such technology. But the problem is that when they do it without our supervision and without us teaching them how to do that, that becomes a problem. So never let our children become slaves of technology. Let's remain in control and use tech meaningfully and for learning. Let's work together as well. We don't say that we don't use technology at all. Neither do we give them the technology and say that I am very liberal about it, you can use freely. We need to set boundaries. We need to monitor closely. So monitoring closely in the classrooms, in school, we have our own very strict set of policies and guidelines about authorized and unauthorized use of our smart technology, right? So the things about smartwatches, phones, as long as you can actually access the internet and so on and so forth, it is placed on our school website. And I would like to encourage our parents, do take a look at it. It is important because if they have a phone in school, which actually we have said before that they shouldn't be bringing a phone to school, smartwatches, we should turn off all the functions that actually allows it to be a smartwatch. It should be able to tell time, but beyond that, they don't need these features on the phone as well as the watches. We will only allow them to switch it on after curriculum time, when at different venues at dismissal, should they require it, with the supervision of the teachers. Again, I think we are trying to do this because we want to partner you in ensuring that our children are using the technology responsibly and they are not harmed by the technology. Okay, so using tech as an useful enabler for teaching and learning, but we cannot outsource that thinking to technology, right? So there was a article, I think a few months back, because of a study that was done in MIT, one of the renowned universities in the United States, where they did a study and they showed that students who, and they were talking about university students who were constantly exposed to the use of AI, I think in terms of the ability to think critically actually dropped quite drastically over a period of time. Okay, and I think embrace the use of tech and AI, but always be mindful of the dangers of overuse and the lack of monitoring. So you realize that at a primary level, the use of AI is little. It is very measured and controlled. Teachers are the ones who are in control of the use of AI. We don't let the students be the ones to use the AI tool freely. All right. Because of the age restrictions, because of understanding that at this age, a lot more guidance is required. But when they come to secondary level, you will realize that there will be a lot more responsibility placed in the hands of the students themselves. So at this age, at this stage, when it comes to the upper primary, we will have to expose our children somewhat, but I think it's with the idea that so that they know the values behind it. Okay. So a few areas that we can work on together between the school and the home. I think is answering that question is how can I partner you so that we can bring out the best in our students when it comes to the use of technology. The first one, I think about respectful communication. Do have regular and good conversations with your child. Let's educate our children in a very dignified manner, right? How do you use the technology safely? What do you do online? Communicate the reasons behind it, because at a certain age, I think our children will start to question us, why can't I do this? Why can you do that? Right? And later I'll come to that point about role modeling. So sometimes if we use our phones unknowingly during when we are chatting with them or on the tables because we are having our meals and we take out our phones and we start watching videos or we start doing things on our phones, children will ask us, how come you're allowed to do that, but I'm not allowed to do that? Okay. So I think setting some of these expectations with our children through respectful communication. Role modeling, I mentioned earlier, right? The importance for us to actually role model in terms of our behavior, not using the devices during meal times, respectful online communication, and real connections. So nothing beats connecting with our children in school, at home, face to face, hearing from them. Hence, let me just come to this part about, because there were a few questions from our parents as well. How did our children perform? I can understand the anxiety. For some of our parents, I think not just parents who are in P6 this year, but parents who are in P4 as well. Parents whose children are in P4. I wanted to assure parents that as a school, our outcomes are good naturally, but then the thing, it comes because of the partnerships that we have. Didn't want you to worry too much about the ups and downs that happen from year to year. But these are some of the data that we are looking at. For posting group 3, previously that is known as our express stream, so to speak. We have a good percentage of our students, close to 70%, plus minus year on year, who qualify to go to previously known as an express stream. Now we call it a posting group 3, okay? Because of the removal of the streams. So let's not continue thinking about the streams, because once they are in secondary school, they do subject-based banding. They're no longer in streams of express, NA, and T. Right, so these are the figures that we are looking at, and you can see from 2023, 2024, 2025, the figures are really quite similar to one another. The difference could be plus minus 1%. And in each cohort, you're talking about 200 plus students. So 1% works out to 2 students, 3 students. So I think to answer the questions of parents who are a little bit concerned, oh, is there a dip in results, increase in results? We have to look at it from year to year. The context is important. DSA outcomes. DSA outcomes are also good. They are actually relatively constant past a certain year. I didn't show you the data from 2019 and 2020. There were some years pre-COVID where our figures were much lower. I think in those years, it was about 9 students who actually entered their DSA school, their secondary schools via DSA. 9 students, I think, back in 2019 or 2020. And over the years, what we have worked through with our children is trying to get them to understand where are their own talents, their own areas of strength, and how can they actually pitch this area of strength and match it to the schools that they are interested to go in. So these schools are a good fit for you. You are able to pitch your own strengths at the interviews in terms of your applications. So you can see that actually back last year, we have a healthy number of 29 students who are actually eligible. Actually, in fact, it's 29 plus 7. 7 students chose not to exercise, right? You can see that 2023, we had a bumper crop of 44 students, but 3 chose not to exercise. So the numbers have always been about 40, 30, thereabouts. It's a big number because we have a cohort size of about 210 plus minus. So it comes to my last part about how do we then work together for homeschool partnership. The first one I wanted to talk about is at a national level, there's this initiative called Grow Well SG. And it is quite key towards us working together to grow children to be healthy and resilient. A few areas for us to look at and to work on. How do our children eat well? So that's why I always do encourage in terms of our HSB, healthy snack break. Can we pack something that is very nutritious for our children? Doesn't have to be a lot, but nutritious in terms of healthy, in terms of, let's say, blueberries, strawberries, right? All these are foods that we know that are high in antioxidants. They are what we call sometimes brain food. Simple things that they can munch on. It helps them over long periods of time. Science and information has shown that it could probably lead to better brain outcomes, student outcomes. So these are important for us to think about. Sleeping well, the second one, extremely critical. Our children need the hours of sleep. So in fact, the P1 and P2 children, we do encourage that they should have at least 8 hours of sleep, sometimes even 9 hours that we're talking about, right? The third one, learning well. So learning well, I talked a little bit about screen use as well. We do need to limit we shouldn't have excessive screen use. And you will be pleased to know, I think over the years, we have also reviewed and amended our policy, right? Just to make sure that we are aligned with this bit on when is it that we use our devices. So the P4 cohort coming from P3 last year still have the one-to-one devices. Teachers are very, very clear in terms of when to use the devices. P5 and P6, we have already phased out the use of that one-to-one devices, right? Sometimes if the children need to use the devices in school, we do have iPads on loan and we can use that. And it's purely in school, under the supervision of teachers, for teaching and learning. Okay, and then the fourth one is about exercising well, right? Next bit, I won't have time to go through this in detail with parents. Parents, if you could just take out your mobile phones now, you can scan this QR code. Otherwise, this deck of slides will be parked inside, in on our school website. We will be sharing this deck of slides with everyone. Then you can look at, right? And how do we grow our children, build resilience in our children? So some additional tips and strategies. How do we work together? Your teachers, your child's teachers are the closest partners that you can work with. Form teachers, subject teachers, work with them closely to better understand your child's strengths, areas for growth, any concerns, any affirmations that you have for them, right? I think these are areas that we can work on. So sometimes if my teachers approach you to mention areas for growth, because there are probably some observations. Parents, don't feel offended by that. Don't take it negatively. We want to let you know because these are observations that we see so that your children understand where we are coming from and we can work with you on that. A mutual reinforcement of right habits and routines in school and home. And these are just some examples of those right habits and routines. I have underlined and I have bolded this part on punctuality. Parents, please work with me on this. I am a stickler for time. And I think me being a stickler for time means that children needs to attend school punctually. If you see that we close the school gate by 7:30, in fact, actually sometimes a couple of minutes, because otherwise the entry and all, we may jam up the roads outside. Because we want to allow our children to settle in and to be able to do and get themselves mindfully starting the day right. Right. And in addition to that, having their reading materials to read widely, to read critically. Okay. And related to that, if we can create a print-rich environment everywhere that we go and role model these reading behaviors with our children. So my last slide with parents, just to share with you a few of these things. I had already indicated that in my start of the year letter to parents, this bit about how do we work together. Will we use this village to raise a child? But we know that our emeralds are not alone. They are not here by themselves. We don't cater and serve individual admirals. We want them to know that they are working alongside, they are learning alongside their friends. So we want them to be kind in their words, actions, and deeds. I also use this quote, right? So there's no small act of kindness. Every act will create a ripple, and everyone will benefit from these kind acts that all our admirals have. And I think that's role model for our children. And finally is I think we want them to be empathetic. We want them to be thinking for others, to be leaders, not self-centered. Okay. So with that, I just wanted to thank all parents for just listening to this. And we will take some of the questions. We won't have a lot of time for the questions. I seek your understanding because after this is the year ahead talk, and the year heads will be able to give you more detailed feedback relevant to your levels. But maybe I'll take these two questions now. I think the first question about AL 4 to 10, I respectfully just seek the understanding of all parents. I will not share the detailed breakdown of all these things because I wanted to move away. Let's move away from this academic focus, right? Because the 4 to 10s, at the end of the day, is something that me and my teachers, we will analyze and we will actually try and think about that. In terms of the numbers, I can share with you that the numbers do fluctuate year on year. It depends on the cohort of students as well. All right, we do have our fair share of students who are going into IP schools that have got a cutoff points of say 7 points, 8 points, even to 9 points. All right, so there is a fair share of the numbers. Okay, for P4, can we totally stop giving them iPad to them if they don't have device in P3? If I may just try and understand this question a little bit, yes, if you didn't buy a device in P3, then there is no need for you to purchase a device in P4. Let me clarify that. There's no need to purchase a device in P4. In fact, if the child requires an iPad in class, because sometimes there are activities in class that we use EdTech to enable teaching learning, we do have available iPads in school where we will actually pass to the child. but it will be taken back at the end of the lesson. So not to worry. I hope that answers the question for this parent who has asked about if no device purchased last year, do you need to purchase it this year? You don't need to. Okay. And if you have any concern about this part, feel free to get in touch with your form teachers about this one. All right, Ken. Thank you, parents. Because I've already overrun by 4 minutes, I thought that I wanted to then pass this time over to the year heads. I understand that there will be all the different links that are provided by the year heads for the individual levels. Okay, and no. Okay, so we will continue from here. All right, so I'll pass the time over to my year heads now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. I'm the P6 year head, Mr. Sazri here. Let me share my screen. Pardon my voice. This is not my original voice, but I'll try my best to be as clear as possible. All right, without further ado, let me start. So as mentioned, I'm Mrs. Hazri. I'm the year head for P5 and P6. Assisting me will be Mr. Andrew Yo, who will be assisting me with P6 level, and he's on standby in case my voice breaks today, but I'll try. And this is going to be my presentation outline. So first of all, I will talk about the experiences that the P6s will have, and then some key dates that I'm very sure you parents would like to know about. And of course, school assessment waiting plan. And I will continue to talk about the key info on the PSLE scoring and DSA, and of course, how we can partner. So of course, the upper primary years are very crucial for our primary 5 and 6 admirals. It is where they develop their personal mastery, and personal mastery is a lifelong process of personal growth, self-awareness, and learning that enables the students to operate at their highest potential. And of course, like what Mr. Chen has mentioned, one of the 21 CC competencies will be to be self-directed learners. So we would like our P5 and P6 students to be self-directed learners as they graduate from Admiralty Primary. And we want all our students to be empowered. And also, it is a very good year for them to develop lifelong friendships, starting from our P5 camp and all the way till the end of P6. So in terms of experiences, these are the following programs which I will talk more about. So don't worry, I'll skim through some of the slides a little faster, but it will be shared. So if you would like greater details, you can actually revisit. So of course, for the executive functioning workshop, our the level P6 focuses on SMART goal. So this is where students will learn to break down complex tasks into manageable steps, and then they create action plan for their assignments, and of course, set realistic short-term academic goals. And of course, SMART framework is quite familiar to us and also to the students. So we would actually be making use of this quite a bit. And of course, we would like our students to be able to set their own goals with help from the teachers. And of course, we would also like our students to have a growth mindset. Remember that, with the power of yet, they can do almost everything. And of course, we would like them to develop learning motivation in order for them to do well in everything they do. Now, for the Learning for Life program, this is the tagline. So basically, our Learning for Life program on performance character, we would like our students to have the ability to perform and reach higher standards. So these are the 6 taglines that they will learn throughout the 6 years. Character traits, how a person is on the inside. It is what makes them who they are. And a character skill is something that the students learn and practice to get better at. So this will help them do things well in life. So for example, if you practice patience, then you learn to wait your turn without getting upset. So at P6, we hope for them to be better prepared, because the better prepared they are, the less stressed they will be. And of course, next we have the growth mindset as our LLP program. So we would like them to have the belief that they can learn and grow. So the growth mindset is made of the thoughts that they tell themselves. They are ready for the challenge, they can try again until they get this right, and it's okay to make mistakes. And this will be the applied learning program for P6s, Design Your Future. So we'll focus on design thinking for P6. This is a problem-solving approach centered on empathy and continuous improvements. So the focus for P6 will be to improve an aspect of their classroom or school experience using simple ICT tools. Now, the P6 students will also be involved in VIA. So it's a way of spreading smiles. So VIA, Values in Action, is a key student development experience in which we would like the students to build social responsibility, ownership, and initiative. So admirals will be able to apply values, knowledge, and skills in real life contexts. And admirals can spread smiles through their kind deeds. And of course, for different levels, they will embark on different projects. And for P6, they will actually focus on JEP, which I'll talk a little bit more later. Okay, so these are the key dates, which I'm very sure parents you would like to know of. So I'll just run through most assessment dates, some learning journeys, PTM, and of course, parents, I think you would like to know that we will have our June holiday supplementary classes on the 25th and 26th of June. All right, let me move on. And of course, in the September holidays 10 and 11, do block out the date for our supplementary classes as well. All right. And of course, we will have post-PSLE activities. All right. Now, this is the assessment waiting plan. So I'll just pause here for you to be able to see what would be the waiting plan for P6. All right. And of course, if you would like more details, just go on to our website. So you can actually click on the two PDF documents. Okay, so I'm sure you would have received our PG. Now, different classes would have different schedules for remedial. So some of them would be Tuesday or Wednesday, and the other day would be Thursday. So remedials have already started, only selected students. We are focusing on bridging the gap. So we are not calling all students to stay behind after school. It would be a remediation for those pupils who need extra help. And for those parents who are anxious about the PSLE past year papers booklet, not to worry. A PG will be sent for further details. It's in fact cheaper than what you can get outside in Popular, for example. So if you have not purchased, please do not purchase them as yet. All right. Okay, and you will also be able to find the lesson focus on the website. We are still updating, so by next week, you should be able to get the updated lesson focus. All right, moving on to key information. I'm pretty sure you would like to know this. So I'm sure most parents will already know that we are using AL scores as a checkpoint at the end of primary school. It's a fair way to determine secondary school posting. So these are how the AL scores are banded. They are based on the learning objectives of the curriculum, and of course, they mirror the way we learn. And this is the grading for foundation subject grades. So for foundation students, they are graded in scoring bands from AL A to C. So to derive the student's overall PSLE score for S1 posting, these are mapped to AL6 to AL8 as stated on my slide of standard level subjects respectively. So that would be added on to the other AL scores. So this mapping is of course based on the learning and assessment load of the subjects and inform students of how ready they are for the curriculum in secondary school. All right, so that's how it's mapped out. So for example, if a student gets foundation level AL8, that is equivalent to the standard level AL6. All right. Now, for PSLE Higher Mother Tongue, it's a separate paper from the PSLE Mother Tongue paper. So in terms of the results, it will be denoted as distinction, merit, or pass. And then those students taking higher Chinese language will be considered when they apply only for a set school of PSLE score of 14 or better. All right. So the eligibility criteria for taking high mother tongue in secondary school ensures that students can cope with a higher academic load. It's an extra subject after all. All right. So an overall PSLE score of 8 or better, or an overall PSLE score of 9 to 14 inclusive, and they attain AL1 or AL2 in mother tongue or distinction or merit in higher mother tongue will be eligible for higher mother tongue in secondary school. So I hope this would answer queries from parents on whether they can take higher mother tongue at secondary school. For more information, there is a link there which you can click. All right. Okay, I'm very sure just now Mr. Chen said that it's a very healthy number in Admiralty for students who are offered DSA DSA, all right, for secondary school. So DSA secondary allows P6 students to apply to all secondary schools before taking PSLE. I just would like to, for parents to take note the following schools, namely NUS High School, SST, SOTA, they only participate in DSA secondary. Now, does this mean? It means that they do not admit students based on their results. Okay, so of course there are eligibility criteria which you can find out more on your websites. For Singapore Sports School, they conduct their school-based admissions separately. Okay, so for those of you who are interested, again, please look out for their website because for sports school, their trials are pretty early. All right, parents? So this is the rough timeline. The exact dates have yet to be confirmed by MOE. So right now, if you check out their website, it's still the 2025 dates, but it's about there. So before May, parents, please do explore schools and their talent areas and shortlist suitable schools. I think it's a very good time to talk already to your children about what kind of talent areas they have and what kind of schools would be suitable. All right. And in May, they will start applying for the DSA. Between June to September, they will then attend selection trials, interviews, and auditions. Not to worry, parents. I do receive queries about whether they will be assisted or guided. Definitely, all right. I will work together with the CCA teachers, the form teachers, and provide as much support in order. I mean, when they actually receive their dates for trials and interviews, and they will be required to also let us know. So I will actually conduct a survey to know whether they have applied, so that I can actually assist better. All right. Do look out for my PG then. By September, they should be receiving their DSA offers if successful. So I mentioned that it's a good time for you to look out for what kind of talent areas. This is the website, all right, that you should go to. So I'm just giving you an example. I'm nothing for Riverside Secondary, but this is just an example so that you're clearer. So for example, if you're interested in Riverside Secondary, the column on the left would tell you how to qualify for the school. All right. And then the column on the right, click on the DSA talent area so you will know, all right, what are the kind of DSA talent areas that they offer and you can actually apply for. Okay, so as you can see, they do not. It's not like it doesn't apply to all their CCA. So there are specific DSA talent areas for the school. So it's all on the website that I've given you earlier. So for School of Science and Technology, likewise, the DSA talent area is only STEAM, for example. Okay, both girls and boys can apply. And as you can see, okay, for SOTA, these are the DSA talent areas. It's really quite a bit, a long list. Okay, so do look out. All right, and I would like, of course, to work hand in hand with you. And I would like to talk more about cyber wellness. It's more than saying no to devices. At P5, P6, it's really a challenge, all right, for us to tell or to say no, all right, to our children. But we really, really have to be concerned, all right, about cyber wellness. And why? Because I just would like to share with you some data. In fact, 67% of our children as young as 7 to 9 already use smartphones every day, and they are very active on social media. Okay, and we all know that screen time and the type of screen use can impact our children's well-being. Therefore, we really need to help our children achieve a balanced and purposeful screen use. And when we survey, when they actually conduct a survey of 600 parents, it revealed that the types and frequency of harmful content our children are exposed to include cyberbullying, sexual grooming, and sexual harassment. Unfortunately, not all parents are aware of the risks. So we need to be involved in our children's digital lives, and we need to put in parental controls to keep them safe and role model, as what Mr. Chin has mentioned just now, for responsible use. And also, most social media platforms and popular games actually have App Store age ratings, which definitely are ignored by many. So for WhatsApp, Instagram, Roblox, it's actually for 12 and above, and Telegram and Discord, they are only for 17 and above. Unfortunately, the truth is that the majority of our children have access to this social media before these recommended ages. All right, and this is associated with insufficient good quality sleep, sedentary behaviors, obesity, and mental health and well-being. So it's actually a bad habit for them to stay into their screens before they sleep. Time and time again, we remind our students, but of course, I really seek the help of parents to also remind the children and have open conversations with them about their habits. So in school, of course, we have cyber wellness programs. All right, we would definitely want to help our children and youth to navigate through the cyberspace safely. So this is done through our CCA curriculum. All right, and these are the objectives, of course, of our curriculum. And in our school, for the masses, we have foundational literacy for all students, whereby we screen cyber clips during HSB and so on, as stated on my slide. And of course, for parents, we will share resources through PG. And of course, for identified students, we work together with our ambassadors and we have workshops, one-on-one counseling for at-risk students and so on. And of course, for the FTGP lesson, these are what the students will be exposed to. Okay, and we hope they can be positive peer influences, peer influence. And of course, we emphasize the importance of cybersecurity. We teach them how to verify online falsehoods and how to stay safe from pornography. Yes, parents, this is important. All right. So these are just some pictures on the assembly talks. Okay, so I think Mr. Chen has mentioned this. Our school rules is that we do not allow students to use unauthorized electronic devices in school. So parents do work with us on this. Playing online games, this is a constant issue for many. So we need to know that online games are everywhere, all right? And, we know that if my child enjoys online game, why not? Of course, it's fun, but remember, excessive online gaming can attract unwanted attention, increase anxiety, and of course, there's a huge risk of cyberbullying. So, of course, you need to check as parents whether they are age appropriate. All right. I'll run through this slides quickly, but this slide stay there because as it's shared, I would like you to have a thorough read on this because it's very important. And these give you tips on what to do if you are concerned about the gaming habits of my child. You can also get in touch with your form teachers or myself and work hand in hand with us. Okay, so these are the contact numbers that you can call for professional help even. Okay, and I know that most of our students may already access their first social media accounts, and we know that although they require users to be 12 and above, so that's why some of them already have Telegram and Discord actually a no. So parents, don't let them have it at all. I seek your help in this. Delete the app from their phone if you need to. All right. So let me go on to cyberbullying. Now, actually, during in the survey, more than 50% of our parents are concerned about cyberbullying. So, of course, through CCE lessons, we do have the students acquire these skills. And of course, these are the hurtful behaviors and bullying. What are they? All right. And bullying actually happens more online than face to face. All right. Especially for the upper primary. So these are the different types of bullying. Okay, parents, which is a no in our school. We take all bullying cases seriously. All right, and we will deal with the students strictly. All right, when this happens, so not to worry. So of course, I would like to let you know that we encourage our students to be upstanders. This is where they take positive action, support the victim when necessary. So these are the roles that we would like our students to have in order to assist our victims. So these are just some guidelines, okay, on how you can teach your child to be kind and respectful online. All right. A think framework, that's how you remember. So these are the signs of bullying. So do have a read on how you know if your child is a potential bully, sorry, these terms are not to label, but it's for easy reference, okay? The bully or perpetrator, these are the traits. How do you know if your child is a victim or targeted? And of course, sometimes bystanders have the fear even of being targeted at. And that's why they also fear informing us. But we always encourage them regardless and work with us. So this is a cheer framework which they can use to have this is a cheer framework which you can use to have a conversation with your child if they are victims. All right, and more strategies. You can scan the QR code. There are a lot of useful information online that you can use. Okay. So let me move on to pornography. So you may be surprised, but yes, pornography can be an issue, especially for the upper primary students. So it is only right that you are worried about your child being exposed to inappropriate content online. So, at P5, they've already started being exposed to topics like reproduction in animals, in human. So parents do, I think I always tell them it's better to discuss or to ask questions, to ask teachers and adults questions because online, you will never know what they come across. So do be open and have very good conversations with them on the science topic. And also for sexuality education, we will touch on some of these topics. Okay, so of course, let me just run through the slides. Again, I hope you have a good read. Okay, so in summary, parents, be open and flexible when discussing your child's preferences, needs, and choices. Manage your own expectations and do not project these expectations onto your child. I know some of you parents are very anxious about them performing very well for your PSLE. There's nothing wrong with that. But do have a conversation with your child. And of course, from there, you can gauge whether they are overly stressed or whether they are putting too much stress on themselves. So do also, other than studies, have regular conversations to understand more about their strengths, interests, abilities, talents, and aspirations. And from time to time, do affirm your child and offer support when he or she shares his or her plans with you. So we would appreciate if you could work closely with teachers, share important information about your child with us. But of course, I seek your cooperation to give us time to get back to you. All right, 3 working days usually, and do contact us during working hours, weekdays before 6 p.m. We'll get back to you, of course, as soon as we can. All right. So that's all from me. Do ask questions. I know, again, I might not have the time to take questions live. All right, but I will because we also have our guests from Spectra to share with us a little bit more about their school. All right, so thank you, parents.
So sorry, parents, this is Mr. Chen again speaking. Mr. Tan from Spectra Secondary is here also with us. He will be speaking shortly. Mr. Tan, sorry, don't give me, if you don't mind, just give me 1 minute, very quick one, because I think there were a couple of questions on our Q&A that I wanted to quickly clarify with parents. I think the first thing about what Mr. Eric Toh has mentioned, yes, I fully agree. I think it's something that, hence what I have mentioned there in my text is that we constantly review all our results, right? And if there are any swing in results, any drop and all, it's naturally you can imagine the first person to be most concerned is the principal of the school, right? And I think as part of our reviews, there are certain processes that we have continued to tighten over the years. I give you an example. We used to do our supplementary lessons for P6s. The entire class stays back for supplementary lessons. But then we got a lot of observations from teachers as well as students is they stay back after school, they were taught the same materials over. It didn't become useful for all the students. And hence we have moved towards a remediation structure whereby children in every class who require the additional help are identified by the teachers where we actually do bridging for them, right? And not just that, this year onwards, we are having it for both P5 and P6. In the past, it used to be just a P6 doing supplementary classes. So I just want to assure you that in terms of processes, there are certain processes we are putting in place which ensure that we have a sufficiently rigorous academic kind of a focus in the school. And on top of that, we know that the non-academic domains are important. They go hand in hand. We can't see the academic and the non-academic as being separate matters. I can't imagine that a child without grade, for example, can do well in the academics, right? So likewise. So, but thank you for that. Of course, I will bring that back and we discuss with the team. The second thing about the Wushu classes for P2 students, right? Thank you to Madam Pik Boon Hao who has that question. Just to clarify, we do not have classes for our P1s and P2s, be it after school or anything. The focus has always been on our CCAs, which starts only from P3 to P6, inclusive of Wushu, because Wushu is one of our CCAs. I think, yes, in the past, because of this enrichment that was provided by the vendor, it's the vendor themselves. I just wanted to clarify that. But we have also been in discussion with the vendor to say that moving forward, what's going to happen, and it is in common agreement with the vendor that there won't be any classes from this year onwards. All right. But there are others, if let's say you are interested for your children to sign up for P1s and P2s, we do have our on the Monday mornings, we do have our Kids Excel program. There are football enrichment sessions. That is because we have the support of Active SG. Okay, so I just want to clarify again, these were never official school Wushu classes to begin with. Hence, these are things that we need to review and discuss with the vendor to begin with. And I think the common agreement is that we are not going to have that. Their focus is on the CCA for the students. All right, so we focus on the CCA, which is from P3 to P6. Okay. Okay, Cam. So thank you so much. I'll pass the time over to Mr. Tan right now. Sorry, Mr. Tan.
All right, while Mr. Tan is preparing, I think the P6 parents, if you would like to stay for the Spectra session, please do. If not, you can actually prepare to go for your form teacher session. The link has been sent to you by your respective form teachers. P2 parents, do give us a while because there will be a session by the Spectra. Then after that, it will be the P2 year head session.
Finally, for you. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, if the organizers could just spotlight me, then it'll be quite easy for me. I'll be putting up a set of slides very, very quickly. Yep, very quickly. And yes, thank you very much. I hope you can see and hear me clearly. Yep, I hope you can see and hear me clearly. Now, I just wanted to stick 10 minutes of your time to say something about Spectra. In terms of walking distance, Spectra is just about less than 1 kilometer away from Admiralty Primary School. So we are pretty near. And I thought that I'll just weigh in a little bit about Spectra and why it's unique. I believe that some of our children are not born academically strong and they could be technically gifted. So over at Spectra, I just want to share a little bit that if you look closely at this slide, Spectra is unique partly because the Ministry of Education recognizes that some of our students will be assigned to posting group 1. And in posting group 1, obviously, they can go to any of the secondary schools that offer this particular learning level. But over at Spectra, what we do is that we do it in quite a different way. So in this particular slide, you will realize that we offer subjects that mainstream schools offer in English, mathematics, and so forth. At the same time, we do offer a vocational subject to ensure that we make learning a lot more fun and hands-on. So just to share that we are different, and just in case parents do worry about what it means, I just came across this question that was answered in Parliament. Almost 1 in 2 of the ITE graduating cohort progressed to a polytechnic full-time diploma or ITE diploma program in 2025. So I just want to highlight that even in vocational education or a technically inclined education, there are lots of educational opportunities. So what is Spectra's secret? First, I just want to show you a classroom in Spectra. We have very small class sizes organized for 20 students, partly because most of the students who enroll at Spectra, while they may be a tad slower, we definitely make sure that they are surrounded by a lot more teachers and people who will help them to grow. So that's one. Number two, okay, I am unable to go to my next slide. Okay, sorry, let me just do this again. Second would be the hands-on learning. Now I'm just showing you pictures of the classrooms in Spectra. This is actually a real learning environment. When you come to Spectra, they look exactly like what you're seeing right now. So let me just share with you. One of the subjects that we offer at Upper Sec is culinary and restaurant operation, and this is our handsome chef, Mr. Justin Chua, and these are students who take this particular subject. Next, we also offer retail and e-commerce, and again, it's a very hands-on subject. Of course, the picture itself does not say everything because I think that more and more we are talking about e-commerce, which basically means that students set themselves up to understand what online businesses mean. Third, for those who are more inclined towards something more engineering, we have the mechanical design and automation. In this picture, you can see that they are learning about pneumatics. Next, we have also got the Internet of Things, and this is particularly popular, partly because increasingly our life is going to be supported a lot by technology. So in this room where we set up, students learn about how people in Singapore could be aging gracefully with the aid of technology. We call this the silver home over in Spectra. And last but not least, mobile web application where students learn about computer coding and so forth. Now, all our students in Spectra at 15 years old, they learn about work, and we call this the industry experiential program. And this is where we make the best of work because we've got students whom we sincerely believe are not cut out to participate in an academic rat race. So they very much prefer a hands-on learning of a technical nature. And this is where we do best over at Spectra. Now, Spectra is also a school which is extremely supportive, and it provides an environment where someone who is just a tad slower in life will feel that they are not stupid. In fact, over at Spectra, the students feel very comfortable about themselves after a while, partly because they are assured all the time that they can learn and they can progress. This is our tiered support structure. It basically shares with you a particular framework that we provide to ensure that our students are provided for and develop holistically. We have 5 staff in the learning support unit. I know that some of the students from the primary school may have a condition or special needs. Do not worry. We've got the expertise over at Spectra to help students with special needs. For example, dyslexia, ADHD, and even ASD. We've got 5 counselors in the school, partly because children these days, they grow up with a lot of uncertainty about themselves. Unlike most schools where there is only one counselor, we have 5 counselors. And we start from day one to ensure that we provide the best social emotional support to our students over here. We have got lots of after school support activities. We call them the student hub, and students take part in lots of activities. And we think that through play, we can help people to grow as well. Little known, we have got free daily breakfast over at Spectra. I think just now I heard Mr. Chen talking about eating well and why we should actually be, watching what we put in our mouths and so forth. We have breakfast, and I just want to show you some photographs. These are real, okay? I know there's been a lot of attention directed to a particular school not too long recently. But I just want to share with you that over at Spectra, we believe in the same thing. People who eat well, they grow well. And I think that children in particular need to be well nourished with wholesome food. I want to share a little bit. People think that the students at Spectra, they are low achievers. But if you look at it, I'm sharing with you on a privileged basis now that this is our 2025 GC N level and ISS results. I'm showing you just the main subjects, English and mathematics. This is extremely high compared to all the schools that offer the PG1 English and math. These are extremely high percentage of passes. And of course, when it comes to the technical subjects, which we call the ITE skill subject, is almost 100% pass. All our students in Spectra articulate to the ITE. Now, if you're interested to know more about Spectra, partly because your child is just born a tad slower and academically they struggle and they may dislike schooling after a while, follow us on our social media, Instagram and Facebook. And I think that the best way to actually find out about the school is firstly to find out about them, what they post, and what stories they tell. I want to invite you to come to Spectra because it's a very beautiful school. I personally took this photograph on one of the evenings, and we are just about a walk away, not too far. In fact, we are very near to the Admiralty MRT station, just about slow walk, 10 minutes or more. And last but not least, I want to share that on the 9th of May and on the 25th of July, we're going to have an open house for the parents of the primary school around the North Zone over here. And we'll be sending this presentation materials to Admiralty Primary School and through the teachers there. I hope that information reaches you. Should you wish to visit us, just simply scan on the QR code and we'll meet and we'll show you around. Nothing beats coming into the school, see for yourself what we are doing here. And so on this note, it's a Friday. I think that it'll be appropriate of me to wish you a nice evening and a wonderful weekend. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Spectra for the information. Yep. So right now is actually the time for the P2s. So let me share my screen. So for the P6 parents, you can actually move on to the P6 form teacher session. Yes, the links should have already been given to you by the respective year heads. Sorry, by the respective form teachers, yeah? My apologies. Okay. So good afternoon once again to my P2 parents. Thank you for waiting, and also thank you for joining me on today's session. Please feel free to type in your questions at the Q&A section. We may not have the time to actually answer those questions, but we try our best. Should we not be able to answer your questions today, we will get back to you. Yeah. Okay, so this is actually my presentation outline. It's quite brief because later on during the form teacher session, the form teachers will actually go through a little bit more in details on some of these things, right? Just to remind everybody, for our primary school, we want to lay actually the strong foundation as well as the holistic development of all our students and also to prepare the children for our future. This is actually the different programs that we have actually curated for the children that we designed to support their growth in both their learning and character. I will go through some of them in briefly, and some of it will be done by the form teachers. Yeah. Okay, as part of our Study Right package, the P2s actually go through this program called the Executive Functioning by an external vendor. So what they do actually is they do something about being alert and also how they can be a good listener. So these are actually mental habits that we hope to help the children manage themselves, to stay focused, and also to be ready for the learning. We will continue to guide your children step by step, and we appreciate if you could reinforce these habits as well in school, at home. Okay? Yeah, so there's actually a booklet that the children have received and have already brought home. So you can actually look through some of this and maybe find out from them what is it that they have done, because there are a few activities that the students as a class go through to actually talk about how they can be alert to different things, their surrounding, how they can be mindful, and how they can be a good listener. For the next program, we actually talk about the LLP program, which is our Learning for Life program. In Admiralty Primary, we look at performance character. There's actually two things. So if you hear your children talk about Hoppy and Totty, this is actually one of the things that we do. Yeah, there's actually a tagline for the primary twos. The tagline for P2s are actually, I can grow my abilities. We actually just had our LLP lesson yesterday. It's about growth mindset. It's about how I can grow, how I can make sure that I am ready to do what I need to do, even though I am not good at it. So this is actually a skill that we want to get the children to build on, because the more we use the skill, the stronger it will become. The next program that the P2s also have is actually our VIA, our Values in Action. In Admiralty Primary, our Values in Action program is actually called Admiral's Spreading Smile. So there's actually two, one is a school-wide program, one is a level-based program. As a school-wide program, we talk about Project Homebound. It is a collaboration with Tan Tock Seng Hospital. So this is where we would like the children to learn about giving back to those who are in need. For the level-based, we have something to do with how we can appreciate our non-teaching staff, such as our cleaners, our guards, security guards, as well as our canteen vendor. So the children will be taught how to actually show their gratitude in terms of writing their notes, in terms of how they can show some kind of actions to actually tell the vendors and tell all these security guards as well as the cleaners to show their thanks. The next one that our school have is actually the Applied Learning Program. It's actually called the ALP program. It sounds a little bit difficult for the P1s and 2s, but we put it to their level. In primary 1 last year, they actually do something about, they focus on improving the cleanliness of their classroom, which is really about themselves, surrounding themselves. And in primary 2 this year, we will be looking at how we can create a product that addresses the need of a user. You may think it is really very difficult, but the P2s actually have a lot of idea. So we talk about how they can, let's say looking at a watch, how can they improve that watch to actually help maybe the blind, for example. Yeah, so those are some of the things that they have talked about. And in this program, we actually hope to build on their empathy as well as to build on the continuous improvement. So it ties in a little bit also to the growth mindset in how they keep on trying and not try to give up. Okay, so this, what I'm showing you is actually our support network. This is the network that we have around our children that we call Admirals. So the school leaders and the school leaders actually provide the overall direction and ensure that the student development is well supported. So the children actually have a lot of teachers to look to if, let's say, they do need help. And of course, the most important people are actually their form teachers as well as their subject teachers. At this moment, they do not have their CCA teachers yet, but as they move on to primary 3 onwards, they can also look towards their CCA teachers if they do need any help or any guidance. Now, there are some questions actually during the registration. How do I support my child without any examination? So I just want to let everybody know that there are actually formative assessments conducted at regular checkpoints. These actually provide our children with ongoing opportunities to check and consolidate on their learning. So we do, the subject teachers do have, it might not be a pen and paper kind of a test. It could be something else. like working with manipulatives, working with things that they will go through to make sure that they can see what they have learned for the particular topic. Now, one of the ways that we can support the children at home is simply to ask them some questions to actually make them think about what they have learned for the day. Asking like things like, what have you learned today? I know some children, if you ask such questions, they will say nothing. They will say, I don't know. Yeah, so perhaps some probing questions like, okay, during English, what have you done? What are the things that you do? Or what have your teacher taught you? Very specific kind of questions could help the children actually remember what they have done during the lesson. So these everyday questions and conversations, we hope that when you are asking them such questions, they will build their confidence and also help the children actually remember their learning much better. Now for class allocation, because this year they are in primary 2, so next year in primary 3, the children will actually be moved to different classes. So the students are actually placed in mixed ability classes based on their everyday feedback from the teacher's feedback about the children's learning progress as well as their disposition. So factors like their gender mix, their ethnic mix, and also combination of children are actually taken into careful consideration. So there will be a lot of discussion between the subject teachers as well as the form teachers. This approach will help reduce the fine differentiation of the classes and also provide opportunities for our students to develop social and emotional competency as they learn from their peers as well as collaborate with others. So this is just something that I wanted to show to actually encourage that joy of learning instead of actually focusing on really very exam-based kind of question, because really in primary 2, we don't have any very formal assessment. Yeah, so like what I said just now, having that regular conversation is actually very important to actually help the children remember and to help them say out loud what is it that they have done. If you are interested, actually, you can actually look at the website. Okay, go to the website. There are a lot of ideas of how we can actually support the children's joy of learning. Okay, so for our school, we do have our check-in lesson activity at the end, at the start of each term. The students will actually be sharing their experiences as well as their emotions with the form teachers. This will be coupled with the check-in surveys that we do online. I would like to thank the parents who have actually helped the children last year. I know it is quite difficult for the children to remember their login password and everything. So thank you so much for helping the teachers actually do the check-in online at home. There's also a one-to-one check-in with the form teachers. So at certain intervals of the day, the form teachers will actually have a one-to-one chat with your child. So this will actually help the children voice out, say out what is it that they are worried about or what are some of the things that they might want to share with their form teachers. So there were actually some questions of how we can actually help the children in terms of helping them, in terms of their joy of learning, in terms of how they can communicate better. Yeah, so these are some of the resources that I have found. I have found it very interesting and very helpful that in Parents Gateway itself, there is actually an app. I will say an app is a place where actually you can find some parenting articles and parenting tips that we can actually try out with our children. You can actually look at the two websites here. There's actually, I've shown you one website, which is the Parent Kit, as well as the Parents Gateway link. Okay. So as always, I always believe that parents and school, we should work together as a common, with a common understanding in developing our children holistically, and through partnership and shared responsibility. I think this will increase the achievement and the success of everyone in the school. And how can we do that actually? Work collaboratively with your teachers. I think the best person that you can find out some of these things from is actually the form teachers and as well as subject teachers. Do seek to clarify certain things and also let your child learn to be accountable and take charge of his or her own learning. So, for example, homework. You might want to have a homework time for the children to do it at home at their own time. Instead of helping them out or maybe just guiding them, that will be good enough instead of doing it for them. Yeah, I think what we want our children to do is actually be responsible. They know that they have a homework to do and they should be doing it rather than waiting for their parents or waiting for someone to remind them that you need to do your homework. So this is just some examples of what you can do in terms of at home. Okay. Okay, cyber wellness. I think just now, if you had gone through, you have sat through the P6 Year Ahead session, a lot of things have been said about this, right? So cyber wellness is actually about our children navigating the cyberspace safely. So Mr. Chen actually mentioned next year in primary 3, we will not have any more one-to-one device. So the children are actually not expected to buy their own iPads or their own devices. If the teachers actually need the devices to be used in class, the teachers will provide the devices, and it will be done together as a class. However, there will still be some ICT homework, for example, in SLS. This will actually get the children, make them know how to do work online should there be any school closure or anything like that. But it is actually a good space for them to learn more about some of these things that we do in the classroom. Okay. In cyber wellness, we actually also do this in our CCE lesson. So during our FTGP, form teacher guidance period, we actually do have this lesson on cyber wellness. It is to actually equip the students the knowledge and the skills to actually how to use ICT for positive purposes and to actually maintain that positive presence in the cyberspace and not be a bully, be a safe and also a responsible user of ICT. So in primary 1 and 2, the focus is actually more about the basic online safety rules. Who can I talk to or what can I say, at cyberspace? And what is it that I will see around? There are a lot of strangers, there are a lot of dangers. So how can we identify all these dangers? And also the importance of balanced lifestyle and also protecting personal information. We also do not want children to actually expose where is it they live, what is their block number, where is their, unit number, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So these are some lessons that we do during our CCE FTGP lesson. If you have the time or when it is appropriate, I think you can actually have this family chat time. You can actually share that there is this part here where the children will be told, okay, let's share with your family members. What are some of the rules that I must follow? And how do I know some people are not very kind, online? Yeah, so these are some of the things that we will actually encourage the children to do when they go home. So these are some of the cyber awareness program that the school has planned for the different groups, for the students, for the parents, and also there's also a group of children that we may have identified because they are going to be the cyber awareness ambassadors, or they are the digital leaders, or even those at-risk students who might not be very cyber savvy. So there are some of these activities that we have for them. So this is just an example of what we have. We actually have internet security talk. Yeah, there will be quizzes during assembly. So this is part of their cyber wellness program. Okay, this is also something that I think I would like to repeat. We really do not encourage children, do not allow children to actually bring any unauthorized devices. So if they do, like what was mentioned by Mr. Chen earlier, if they are using a smartwatch, it should be kept at a classroom mode. The watch should only function as a time to check the time rather than to call or to take photo or to do other smart functions, because there are some occasions where if the watch is not locked, it becomes very disruptive for the student as well as for the teachers. You can actually refer to our Admiralty companion book and also our school website for the unauthorized use of the electronic devices. Okay, cyberbullying, I just want to touch a little bit on it. So more than 50% of the parents are actually very concerned about cyberbullying. And also through CCA lessons, we have students to understand that cyberbullying is also wrong, although you don't say it out face to face to another person. Okay, so these children, we want to help them cultivate this empathy and being kind. You know, the word be admirably kind, being kind as an admiral. Yeah, this is something also we want to stress on, and we want to make sure that they manage the cyberbullying. Standing up to bully, being an upstander rather than a bystander. I think this is something that in Admiralty we try to stress on. I think that is the last part of my presentation. But I just want to have your attention to, because on the 16th of February is actually our Chinese New Year Eve. I know 16th February is a Monday, so we usually come to school at 9:30, but on that day, please send your children to school at 7:30 because our dismissal is actually at 10:30 on that day. Yeah, so we will have our normal Chinese New Year celebration, and then children will be dismissed by about 10:30. It will still be at the same place. We will still be dismissing the children at Gate C. Okay, I just want to put this up so that everybody will remember that on 16th February, school is not at 9:30. It is actually at 7:30. All right. So thank you very much, parents. Let's see if I have any questions that I need to answer. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your time, parents. I hope the presentation have answered some of your questions. If not, you can actually find out from your respective form teachers as well. You can actually now move on to the form teacher session. The link should be given to you in Class Dojo or in your different respective platform. The form teacher should already have sent you the link. So right now it's actually time for the P4 Year Ahead. Thank you very much, parents. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Yani. Okay, let me prepare the slides first. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because it's the first session. All right, I shall start now. Good afternoon, parents. Welcome to my year head session. For parents who are new to the school, I'm Madam Faiza, the year head for Primary 3 and Primary 4. We are glad to have you with us today, and we hope you'll find this session useful and reassuring. Earlier, you would have had the opportunity to meet the Primary 4 form teachers, and I hope that you have already raised your concerns and questions have been answered. All right, for some housekeeping matters, feel free to type your questions in the Q&A tab at any point during the session. We will have a Q&A segment at the end to address your questions. As we go along, I'll also respond to some common questions and concerns that parents have shared earlier on PG. Sorry. Okay, just to share with parents, all right, in the middle block, we have myself and also Miss Tivia, who will be assisting me together, in terms of the holistic development of our middle block students. Yeah. All right, this is my presentation outlined. I'll be sharing with parents the P4 student learning experiences. And also, I'm sure parents are very excited to know about the school assessment waiting plan and the details. And last but not least is about partnering with parents. I think it's very important for us to partner each other for the well-being of our students and also the development of our students. Right, just to share with you the student development ecosystem, I think that having a support system means that our admirals have people to rely on when they need them the most, because Admiralty is their second home, and the people in Admiralty are the people that they can lean on whenever they are in a tough situation in school. So this is the in this slide. Okay, every part of school community works together to help students succeed. This diagram shows the support network around our admirals, whom we refer to as admirals. At the center is the student, and surrounding them are the different people in school who work together. Not just their form teachers, they have the of course, our school leaders who actually address, Mr. Chair address the parents, okay, with regards to the school focus, and the vice principal also provide the overall direction and ensure that student development is well supported at the school level. As year heads, we oversee students' progress at each level and help coordinate support when needed, while subject teachers, form teachers guide students in their learning and academic growth. I'm sure that you know that in CCA, beyond the classroom, okay, CCA teachers, coaches, trainers support students' interests, talents, and character development. And of course, their peers, their CCA mates also play an important role by providing peer support and helping students build positive relationship. In Admiralty, all admirals are leaders. Admirals care for admirals. These are the messages that we have been, been sharing with the students in the morning. Yeah. So, parents, let me share with you the key changes in primary 4. I'm sure that you are, a bit concerned, from primary 3 to primary 4 transition. So, in primary 4, there will definitely increase in academic expectations, right? Students experience step up in academic rigor. Lessons require more sustained focus, deeper understanding, and the ability to apply what they have learned. Of course, there's also greater emphasis on independent learning. Students are guided to take more responsibility for their learning. They should be more self-directed in managing their homework, preparing for assessment, and organizing their work more independently. All right. So parents, there will also be stronger focus on skills and disposition. There is definitely an increased emphasis on critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and resilience alongside academic learning. For the social and emotional development, students continue to develop self-management skills, learn to navigate friendships more independently, and handle challenges with growing maturity. Like for example, yesterday during our FTGP lessons, we learned about how to handle disagreements because at P4 sometimes the conflict may happen between peers in terms of group work, when they are playing with one another. So these are the skills that we actually inculcate in our students how to handle disagreement challenges that they may face at P4 level. Definitely continued support from the schools. I mentioned just now, the ecosystem will definitely support your child in their learning and development. All right, so let me share the student learning experiences in P4. So for level-wide programs and student activities, first we have executive functioning workshop that the children have gone through during the study right package in the second day of their in third day of the school beginning of the year. We also have ICT structured program, conversational Chinese or Malay program, learning journeys, ALP, LP, ACT. I will be sharing with you more in depth later in my slides, and also about the cyber awareness program in Admiralty. Okay, at every level, we focus on what students need most at the age, whether it's building confidence, developing social skills, or learning to take greater responsibility. So through these structured level-wide programs and student activities, we help students develop important skills and positive habits that support growth and also character growth. Okay. So let me share with you what the children actually have gone through during our executive functioning workshop. So for P4 level, all right, we focused on about planning and prioritization. All right, students learn to use basic planning tools like simple checklists, daily schedules to plan and prioritize their schoolwork and achieve their goals. We do actually align with our LP whereby we talk about SMART goals. Okay, how do they plan their SMART goals and how do you achieve that goals? All right, we also focus on time awareness. Students develop basic time management skills, including how to estimate task duration and understanding how to manage their daily activities effectively. All right. And also, the third part that we actually focus on during our executive functioning workshop, students, we actually allow the students to have a hands-on practice how to check their own work, recognize when the activities to show them when they need help, and also using simple assessment techniques to evaluate task completion. Right. So parents, you may want to have conversation with your child about this executive functioning workshop, because at the end of the workshop they actually bring home some reflection, okay, given to them with regards to the workshop and how they can apply it in their daily life. All right, so at P4 level, all right, we have ICT structured in terms of video editing. Last year, the children actually learned about Excel, learn how to use some Excel formulas, charting graphs. So in P4, all right, the children actually learned about video editing. It's going to be conducted in term 2, and there will be 2 lessons for each class, right? We believe that in terms of this ICT program, it actually allow our pupils to have a head start as they continue their journey beyond Admiralty Primary School. So for P4, all right, we also continue with this conversational Chinese or Malay, which we call CCM in short, program. Is an option actually for whether the child, you want your child to be involved in this program. This program actually aims to strengthen Singapore's multiracial compact to equip students with fundamental grasp in the respective languages. So, for example, a Chinese student will learn Malay conversational language, whereby they will learn some basics words where they can actually understand and communicate, and try to communicate with their peers, Malay friends. It also helps to students to enhance rapport with their friends of different races in the community. So this will also be counted in term 2. There will be no clash with ICT structured, and there will be 5 lessons, 1 lesson per week, okay, and it's 2 hours per week, and it will be only on every Monday. Yeah. So now I move on to the learning journeys that we have already prepared for our P4 level. We believe that out of school learning journeys provide authentic real world experiences that deepen and extend classroom learning. They see concept beyond textbook. They can apply classroom knowledge in real life context. So the learning makes more meaningful and memorable for our admirals. You can see here in the picture, our P4 students last year, they went to their museum-based learning at National Gallery. So the children able to apply their art skills, and then also together with the trainers that is with them, they are able to ask questions, able to apply what they have learned. And of course, it will definitely encourages curiosity and thinking. Next, this is a program that I think our P4 Admiral, the only level they have gone through for 2 years, is going to go through for 2 years. Last year, they actually pilot this ACT program, ACT. It means that admirals create a better tomorrow. For this program, we are not just teaching content, we are nurturing perseverance, problem solving, and agency. Actually, this program merged the core components of our learning for life, applied learning, and eco stewardship program into a comprehensive and interdisciplinary approach. So for this program, our students will have to design, test it, and lead their own sustainability initiative. So last year, all right, our current P4 actually are given the task to look into food wastage. P3, our school food wastage. So they will have to come up with ideas on how we can reduce food wastage in Admiralty. So for teachers' role is to guide them. They'll be the ones the children will be the one taking ownership. Teachers are shaping the next generation of change makers. Definitely empowering admirals to take charge and make things happen. Another program that is a school-based program and also is catered differently for different level is the VIA. In Admiralty Primary School, our values in action program is known as Admirals Spreading Smiles. VIA is a key student development experience that goes beyond activities. It is about nurturing social responsible admirals who contribute meaningfully to their school and the wider community. All right, so through VIA, our students learn to apply values, knowledge and skills in real life situation. Reflection is also an important part of VIA. Our admirals are guided to think about what they have done, the values they have practiced, and how they can continue to contribute meaningfully. Definitely, our goal is we want our admirals to do kind deeds and spread smiles, starting from school, community, and reaching out beyond. Do parents do share with us if there are instances where your child did any kind deeds outside, or even received some praises. Do share with us. Yeah, so we can share the school, the level, what your child have done also. Different level will take on different projects, so that every emerald can play a part in spreading smiles. So in primary 4, all right, one of our values in action initiative is Project Ang Pao. Through this project, we want our admirals to understand the meaning of giving back to society by donating to those who are less fortunate, right? Just like in primary 2, our primary 4 admirals also will demonstrate an attitude of gratitude towards our unsung heroes. This time, the focus extend beyond the school community to show appreciation to our migrant workers, right? Last year, we actually invited some migrant workers to come to our school, and our P4 students actually wrote a letter, a appreciation card and present it to our migrant workers. Right? This very project is carried out in collaboration with Sembawang Town Council and our ACT department, okay, and helping Emirates recognize the contribution of migrant workers definitely is a very meaningful action. Another program that is very important in cultivating character in our students is, having this cyber awareness program. Cyber awareness is about our students able to navigate the cyberspace safely. Our students, our emeralds, are the alpha gen. At P4, the alpha gen. So they are born in the year where technology, okay, is vast. People are using technology, and they themselves, even at younger age, they're exposed to technology. So we'll be sharing with you how MOE supports your child to pick healthy digital habits, and how in Admiralty we have this character and citizenship education curriculum which equip the students with the knowledge and skills to harness the power of information and communication for positive purpose, right? Like mentioned just now, to be a responsible users of ICT. So in the QR code there, you can scan and to find out more about the resources that is available, that we use in the teaching of in cyber awareness. So in primary 3 and 4, right, during CCE FTGP, all right, we actually taught the students how to balance the balanced use of digital devices, the etiquette, how they can stand up against cyberbullying, and how to stay safe online. So these are some of the activities that you'll be doing in class. The teacher will have some activities, and hands-on, so how they can actually be a responsible user of the cyber user. So these are the cyber awareness activities arranged in 2026 for our admirals. Okay, we are in terms of measures for all levels. Okay, we have the cyber clear screen during HSB as a reminder for the students, assembly talks, like mentioned just now, FTGP lesson in class. Also for parents to support our students, there are also resources. I'll be sharing the slides that I have today, with parents, so that parents can look through the resources, and also, really emphasize the messages that we have shared with the students in school, so that, it is the same language that we use, so that students also will not be confused. All right. And also some identified students will be cyber awareness ambassadors. All right. For these cyber wellness ambassadors, they will reinforce cyber awareness messages. They will recognize signs of cyberbullying or social withdrawal and report them to the trusted adults, the teachers, okay, and even parents. And parents that we work hand in hand, we can definitely work things together. All right, this is just an example of assembly talk on internet security, which our school had last year. All right, and we're going to continue on all these activities to emphasize on cyber awareness. Just to share with parents, I think have been mentioned by Mr. Chen with regards to the EdTech use. Okay, in order to create a safe and supportive environment for students to learn, definitely there are school rules which our students will need to abide by. Okay, students, we do not allow students to use unauthorized electric devices in school. For example, mobile phones, smartwatches. Sometimes we do have parents who write into us because of some reasons, you actually want them to wear those smartwatches. However, I think that been mentioned, all right. You have to disable the function, for the child not to be able to use the camera, not be able to contact you, because because you also don't want them to be distracted by, all the use of all these devices during school hours. At a P4, all right, it's the only level that have one-to-one computing, and where the children have to bring iPad. Parents, do not worry. In school, all right, there are some settings that the children, their iPads are being set up. That means your child will not be able to go to certain website, cannot use certain apps that is only whitelisted in, by our school. So we do hope that at home, all right, parents do continue to monitor closely your child usage of the device. All right, parents, you can refer to our Admiral's companion book, all right, and school website for the unauthorized electric device policy. Like I mentioned just now, parents are invaluable partners and role models in supporting their children's learning and behavior in the digital space. Parents, all right, let's role model healthy use of devices and social media and good online behavior. Like for example, during meals, all right, maybe we can put aside our handphones, our devices, all right, and we can have conversation your children instead of using the devices. Discuss and develop a timetable with your child to moderate their time spent on screens, especially, at a young age right now. It's very important for us to monitor and also limit the use of the devices. All right, I'm going to share with you some key information for P4 level. It's about the P4 subject-based banding. I have a question in Parents Gateway regards to P4 subject-based banding, but parents mentioned about streaming. So we have no longer call it streaming, but we call it subject-based banding. It's a bit different from the secondary school subject-based banding. So at P4 level, all right, subject-based banding was introduced as a refinement to the streaming process to help our students realize their potential based on their strengths and needs. So will there be a reassignment of class at end of P4? Yes, there will be. All right. Because SBB allows students to take subjects at different academic levels based on their individual strengths and abilities. Why is there a change of classes and all that? Because it allows teachers to tailor instructions to students' specific ability levels in each subject, and students can progress at appropriate paces in different subjects. Like, for example, all P4 students will be promoted to P5 classes with the option to take standard and foundation subjects. All right. However, parents, all right, whether the child takes standard or foundation subject will be based on the recommendation by the school. At the end of the year, all right, the overall score of your child's score, okay, we will take a look at your child's score and recommendation will be given. All right. Just another note about high mother tongue. All right, at P3 and P4 level, high mother tongue is more about exposure of the culture, about the language. But at P5 and P6, it's a bit different. Okay, we will only recommend high mother tongue for students who definitely demonstrate interest in learning the subject and have the capability to manage mother tongue language at a high level. So we actually recommend students who have done well in their mother tongue, P4 mother tongue, all right, who score overall score of 70 and above. All right, we do have parents who request for their child to take high mother tongue, even though the score is about 69, 65. You do give and allow the parents, to opt for the child to take high mother tongue at P5 level and to try it out, at P5 level and see whether the child is able to cope with it and go on continue with high mother at P6 level. Let me show you, infographic about how does subject-based banding work in Admiralty. All right, students sits for end of the year school-based examination. All right, school recommends a subject combination based on the student's result I mentioned just now. Parents will complete an option form indicating the preferred combination. School recommend, but however, parents can counter and mention that, oh, I want my child to take certain subjects at certain level. Okay, so at P5, student take subject combination chosen by parents. At P5, school will assess students' ability to cope with the current subject combination at the end of the year. Then adjustment will be made, when we look at the results again, adjustment will be made to the number of standard or foundation subject that can, if necessary. So at P6, student takes subject combination decided by the school and sits for the PSLE at the end of primary 6. So this is how it works. All right. Information on this subject-based banding, a very detailed one is available in our school website. It's actually the slides that I've used for the town hall with P4 parents last year. Okay, let me move on to assessments. All right, at P4 level, same as P3, we have non-weighted assessment, weighted assessment, and end of the year examination. For non-weighted assessment, these are actually formative assessment that is ongoing in lessons to help teachers understand student learning. It will not be indicated in the calendar, school calendar. So what is indicated in the school calendar is the weighted assessment and also end of the year examination. So these assessments will be indicated in the school calendar. So parents, you may think, maybe your child will go home and say, I have a test just now. But it may not be a weighted assessment. It could be actually just a formative assessment to help track how students' knowledge is growing and then, and to bridge the gap and also to, for teachers, to understand where your child is, is in the class. All right. So let me show you, right? You can actually take a look at the key assessment information 2026 in this our school website. There are two PDF document. So in terms of the assessment details, all right. Currently we only have the term one weighted assessment details. Because it'll be updated, daily in term two, term three, and also end of the year. Right? Just to show parents what is in the document. All right. In the first document, you will see the overview of the assessment structure. So at P4 level, all weighted assessment in term one will be 50%, term two 15%, term three 15%, and term four 55%. So at end of the year, when we do our subject-based banding, it will base on the 100% overall score. All right, this is the detail for term one assessment details. All right, for P4 level, you can see the different subject like English, mathematics, science, and mother tongue. They have different focus. So for P4, all right, for English in term one, there'll be paper one with the assessment. For mathematics, there will be a partial paper. So you can see some of the topics are there already indicated in the document. And then for science, it is also a partial paper and the topics are also indicated there. For mother tongue, it will be a listening comprehension and the dates are already there, indicated in the school calendar. All right. Dear parents, you have the same goal. You want to bring out the best in our admirals. The partnership between parents and teachers is very important. Otherwise, what we do in school is undone by the time they're outside school. So mutual reinforcement of right habits and routines at home and school is very, very important. So let me share, how we can work together, how can we support our admirals in their learning, right? We strongly encourage parents and the community to work together to create a supportive learning environment. So parents, I think just now you have met the form teachers, they have shared about the communication, with regards to the time when, you can message them. Teachers sometimes receive messages from parents about changes in arrangement for their child in the last minute. Sometimes teachers engage in their lessons, they may not be able to always be able to answer or message you to reply you promptly. Do give us time because at the end of the day for the teachers to actually reply you. So for urgent matters, parents, you may contact the school directly. Messages we pass to the teachers, okay, with regards to whatever message you want to pass to the teachers. All right, we can serve you better and we take good care of our teachers and also our loved ones. So partnership with parents, like mentioned just now, is very important. Every admiral has something valuable to contribute. Like mentioned just now, admirals are leaders. Our admirals are leaders, right? We also want you to be able to work with us, okay, to monitor your child and discuss their school experiences. If there are concerns or challenges, or if you have any suggestions, please reach out to the teachers, me, or even to any of the year heads. All right. It's very important for us to seek clarification when needed and provide constructive feedback. Parents do give us the opportunity to listen, understand, and explore possible solutions together. All right. We also encourage all our admirals to take accountability, okay, of their learning. Let's allow our admirals to learn to take responsibility for their learning and be an active, learner. All right, parents. We hope to strengthen our partnership. I also understand that regards there are some concerns, especially with regards to bullying. You may have heard news, stories regards to bullying last year, regards to what certain bullying that's happening in schools. All right. I just want to share what we share with our students during our level talk, okay, during our morning assembly. We do talk about what is bullying. All right. We do emphasize the important parts whereby, okay, what is bullying? It could be hurtful behaviors or, it can be physical, verbal, social, and even cyber in nature. Because right now, the stories about, cyberbullying is really, really what's happening around us right now because students are also exposed to technology. All right. And we also mentioned that, all these kind of physical, verbal, social, and cyber in nature must be experienced by the same student at the same time or one after another. That means we emphasize to the children that bullying involves repeated or persistent behaviors intended to cause hurt or distress. Sometimes when they are playing, they fall down, their friend push them, they mention, oh, I'm being bullied. So we also need to emphasize to our children what is bullying. Okay. and what are the hurtful behaviors. So we have been, talking to them about these messages. So parents, if you do hear about any bullying that happened, do inform us or even from the form teachers, all right, so that we can be on task, and get to the, solve the bullying issue. Okay, all right. Cyberbullying, just to share that, this one of issue that have been very concerning. 25 digital parenting survey found that 50% of parents are concerned about cyberbullying. That's why we are sharing here. All right. So for us, through CC lessons, students understand that bullying and cyberbullying is wrong and acquire skills to cultivate empathy, be kind. We want them to manage differences and resolve disagreements respectfully. All right. We also want our children to be active bystander, stand up against bullying, and support peers affected as upstanders and peer supporters. Right? Just like I mentioned, we always talk about admirals care for admirals. All right. You want them to be an active bystander. You want them to take positive action and support, their peers if their peers seems to be the victim of bullying. All right. So parents, how can you guide your child to be kind and respectful? All right. We always talk about think. When we do something, think. T is it true? H, is it helpful? I, is it inspiring? N, is it necessary? And K, is it kind? All right. To help us to enforce some of these that we have teach in school. All right. You can guide your child to think before posting anything, before saying anything online, and share with you before they act on something. Okay, all right. If you suspect your child is cyberbullying others, all right, these are few things that parents can do. When a child is being bullied or hurt, parents can guide them to learn from a mistake, apologize, and there are certain strategies that we are sharing with parents. There are resources online. All right, like I mentioned just now, I'll be sharing with you the whole deck of slides, and there are resources there for parents, even the link for parents to see how you can support your child. All right, like I mentioned just now, every parent is a supportive partner. When parents and the community support school efforts, it strengthens what teachers do in classroom and help students achieve better outcomes. With that, parents, thank you for being here. Let me see. Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me see my slides. Okay. Okay. I think there's a question with regards to. Yeah, wait now. Okay. All right. Non-weighted assessment is not included in the year-end record book for both semester overall scoring. Like I mentioned, it's more to gauge their child learning, to bridge the gap, to question some of the misconceptions of your child. Thank you for your question, parent. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, parents. All right. All right. If you do have any further queries or questions, feel free to email me. Okay, my email is in the school website and also in this slide. With that, all right, parents, I end this session. Thank you for joining us for today, and parents have a great weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you, parents.